Hey folks, my name's Rene Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Bootser. Black Hand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics.
Hey folks, my name's Rene Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored. Well, it's been a while since we've done Perico, so let's get into it. Periquito, Periquito. Yeah, he's always got some interesting stories, so I want to continue with the last video where we left off, and let's see what he has to say. You know what? I did a pre-check on this, just to familiar my excuse me, early in the morning. I'm fumbling with words. I barely knocked down a cup of coffee, jumped up, washed up, and got this out. So, I did a pre-check of this just to familiarize myself with the subject matter. And guess who freaking popped up? Give me the weasel. He's all through this. So let's get it. Without further ado, here's Perico in his initial debrief. So, let me familiarize some of the people who are just jumping in who have never seen the videos before. That way I can bring you up to speed. This is Perico Rocha, former Mexican Mafia member. He got arrested for extorting someone, and during that process, he was approached by Francis Hardiman from Los Angeles Sheriff's Department and decided to flip. In other words, he wanted to cooperate with law enforcement. This guy's a main Mexican Mafia member on the streets doing big things. And it's during this process that they sit you down and they go through a debrief, right? That's telling everything you know. Everything about everybody, names, states, everything you can remember, right? So this is Perico in his videotape debrief. And we got a lot more. So don't worry. We're not going to run out of content on this. So here we go. This is Perico. You're up to speed. Listen to him talk.
I had it easy, but I seen some dudes would get it real bad, Sureños that got set up and fucked up. So that kind of like got me pissed, like, man, because when I got out, I'd hear dudes, my cousins telling stories about where they've been, what they did. I'd be like, you never been nothing or did nowhere. I just came from back there, you know what I mean? It was the fucking movers and shakers, and your name's never, where in the fuck have you been? You know what I mean? While Chino, what was that, whatever that drug one is, I'm like, that's not even a fucking joint, you know what I mean? I said, that's just a drug joint, you know what I mean? That's not like a fucking gladiator school or nothing. So anyway, I got out, I was robbing everybody, doing my thing, running around, fucking around. About that time, Gibi got out. I think that was about 91, the late 91, 92. Gibi got out.
That's Gibi the Weasel, Philip Escobar, the guy we've seen in the hotel meetings, wanted to steal everything, the guy that attempted to take the clock radio that had the FBI's camera in it. Remember that? That's the same Gibi we're talking about.
My homeboy Gibi ended up being a carnal. He's the one that we didn't know, but he ended up turning on our case. Anyways, he gets out, and we go see him. I grew up with him, but not really. I'd see him here, went to school.
I don't know if you caught that. He said, we didn't know, but he ended up turning in our case. Gibi was an informant. He just never wanted to testify, but he would tell on everything.
He wasn't somebody I hung out with. He wasn't my friend, So I used to just try and be with his cousin. So anyways, he gets out. We go over there just to see him. Hey, what's up, Bones? He got out of the joint. We heard he was a carnal. Wanted to see, real short, tiny, real skinny. I looked at him. He wasn't impressive to me. I'm like, whatever. He's like, hey, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, yeah, that's good for you. You know what I mean? He's like, well, I'm going to get this. I'm like, can I tell him more? Whoa. You know what I mean? What I've done, I'm doing. That has nothing to do with you, So you want to go ahead, I got these things going, though. I'll try and help you out if you... Like, nah. So we got into a little argument, you know what I mean? Because I wasn't going to let him take or do anything what I had. And, we got into that argument. Come on, Holmes, you know what I mean? You're a carnal, you think you're just going to come and take it. It don't work like that. That was my stand. Because I looked at him, I'm like, this dude can't do shit. You know what I mean?
I mean, literally, if you looked at Gibi and he approached you, and he tried to pressure you, you'd have the same reaction. He's not impressive. I don't know how the guy became a carnal. Don't know what possessed the people to sponsor him into the organization. Um, and I think Ralph had said something. I watched one of his videos. He says, I knew that I could manipulate them with dope. I could get yes votes and no votes with dope. And that's how I think Gibby got in. I think it was Sammy that did it. I can't recall at this moment. It's kind of early in the morning, but uh, that's the same impression I got with Gibby. Like this guy's not
So
material.
that kind of how well we end out. That kind of how it went. When I came around, I'd see him here and there, and then one time he was at a spot. I think it was Angels. Uh, when I went there, or he was gonna try and rob him or something, and I had told him, "Hey, what the fuck? Those are my boys, you know." He's like, "Well, hey, Holmes, you know, I got to get something going for myself and this and that, and want you." So I said, "You know what? I'm gonna help you. Fuck it, I'm gonna help you." So I started running around with him. Uh, we started using. He was using, so I wasn't really using up to that point. When I started running around with him, I started using. I hooked up with, I had a homeboy out there, Mike, who ranked out, actually. He went to neighborhood. For some reason or the other, I don't know why he was always saying that I was out to get him. I don't even remember. He had mentioned a couple of times, where, "Oh, I know I seen you, then you came behind me and I took off and you chased." I don't remember that. I mean, I'm like, whatever. But this dude Mike's moving pounds of weed. So we kind of get next to him, you know. And now me and Gibby are with him. He's making money. We're just kind of cruising and not really doing nothing, letting him do all the work. Then about this time, we go to a meeting. Gibby takes me to a meeting, I remember. Actually, I went to a couple of them. And I'm pretty sure we went to one, a New Year's one. There's pictures, I've even seen them. We went to Dagwood's house. That's when Dagwood was still alive. And East LA somewhere.
He's talking about Dagwood. Dagwood ended up overdosing in the county jail. He took in some drugs. He was just supposed to turn himself in for a short stint, but he packed up, put a bunch of drugs in his rectum, wrapped in condoms or balloons. During the process of being taken to high power, one of the balloons burst and he overdosed in the county jail. And he was a Mexican Mafia member.
We went to that meeting, I remember. I took Diane with me. It was a New Year's. I remember it was a New Year's because we had guns. And we wanted to shoot them, but Dagwood said, "Nah, can't shoot around there." So I went to the New Year's party. I met, all the canales. Truco, I think Deco was there. Dagwood, Cowboy, Black Dan, Charlio, Caesar. There's quite a few of them there. Back then there was quite a few of them out.
Well, just backing up, was the little dude?
Gibby?
Was he the first actual MA dude that you came in contact with, that you started hanging around with?
Yeah,
I think that is the voice of John Ciccone from the ATF.
that's the first one.
And then he started bringing you around to all these other guys.
Yeah,
That was kind of your first exposure to the carnals and all that.
yeah, that was my first. Yeah. Well, that was that was my first exposure, I guess you could say, in a capacity with my eyes open.
Right.
Because in the future, when I started sitting with them, they'd say, "Man, we remember you when you were a kid. You used to run with Gloria."
Who else was there? Chuco, Dagwood, Black Dan.
Man, let me see.
Yeah, when now we're starting to get into the stuff that we're interested in. Everybody here. When you say, like, if you go to a meeting or something, try to remember as best you can everybody's name. Instead of saying, there's a bunch of carnals there. You want to know who those people were. So
Yeah,
when you get into this stuff now, get a little more detail with it, as far as like names and who, so we can make sense of who these people are.
All right. Yeah, I was like I said, Chuco, Dagwood. I don't know if Smilon and Pee were there, but I know I met Smilon sometime on the outs. Caesar, one night Caesar, he was from the harbor area somewhere. He ended up dying. Chalillo, he was there. Pretty sure Night Owl was there from 18.
Talking about Chiliro from La Rana and Caesar from Rancho San Pedro. Night Owl is Ruben Castro from 18th Street.
Night Owl was there. Gibi, the one I went with, he was there. Negro from Artisha was there. Sleepy from Artisha was there. This one, Sleepy was still running around.
All right, so I got Chuco, Night Owl from 18, Dagwood, Black Dan, Cowboy, Gibby, Negro from Arta, Sleepy from Arta.
Caesar,
Where's he from?
he was from Rancho, San Pedro. One Eye Caesar.
Was that it?
And you said this was a meeting or like a party, New Year's Eve party?
It was a meeting for them / New Year's party, I guess you'd say, you know.
That you were invited to?
Yeah, that actually, that was actually my first exposure to it.
And some of these guys knew who you were already?
I didn't know this right then and there.
Right.
You know what I mean? I found, like I said, I found out later that they had heard. So I guess
Do
what
you know
it came,
Gibby's real name?
Philip Escobar.
And he's from Barrio Norwalk, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess what it came down to was, I don't know, you know, like, I really, the way I ended up understanding it was, I guess, Gibi, when I ended up getting busted later on, I found out that I guess Gibi was in there talking about me, or talking to Topo and them about me, because it had already been in the mix, you know, after when I found out later, through Topo himself, and I said and talked to Topo, he'd be like, yeah, we knew about you running around out there. Gibi used to tell me all about there, that you used to have this. So I guess Gibi was punting it off to them. What I was doing was for him. The OPO, Benny Peters. So, you know, I tripped out. When I heard that, I got kind of mad. You know what I mean? I'm like, motherfucker. Anyways. So anyways, I went to that party. We partied, whatever, boom, boom, boom. Party's over. We left. Then we went to another meeting 1 week at Cowboy's house.
That's Randy Therian.
Everybody was there again. Oh, and Roy Boy was there too.
Oh, Roy Boy was at the original party?
Yeah,
That's Roy Boy Rivas from San Diego.
he was there.
You guys, I can print this out and just give it to you.
Yeah, that's easier.
That's a lot easier than everybody taking notes.
I'll remember, guys, as we go.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So you end up, you said a week later you go to another meeting?
Yeah, we go to. I'm pretty sure it was a week later. We went to another meeting. Because after news, we went to a meeting. More or less the same guys are there.
Was there any business talked about at the first meeting? Or
I
was it
wasn't
just-
invited into that room.
Okay.
You know, they went into a room. I wasn't invited to it. The second meeting, same thing. They went and talked. When they talked, I was told to leave. So I don't know what went on. Then the third meeting that I did go to, I remember that was, it was a Super Bowl Sunday. I remember the Buffalo Bills played, I think it was Dallas or something. That was, I think, after they were on that streak of winning, going to the Super Bowl back to back to back to back. Yeah. Early 90s, actually.
That was 92 or 91st.
Yeah, something like that. So on that day I got made. I think it was the 29th too. I don't even like football. I just remember that.
January 29th?
I'm pretty sure that was the day.
Super Bowl Sunday.
I know it was Super Bowl Sunday.
Talk a little bit more about that, how that whole...
Well, that's what I'm going to get into. So we were right there. We went to the meeting.
Same group of guys?
Yeah, same group of guys. There was a couple more. There was a lot of them. That's when Dan, well, you know, everybody that I mentioned. Actually, I had wrote them down.
Oh, yeah.
But the cops took them from my property. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so at the first two meetings, essentially, it was Chuco, Night Owl from 18, Dagwood, Black Dan, Cowboy Tyrion, Gibby, Negro from Arta, Sleepy from Arta, One Eye Caesar from RSP, Roy Boy from San Diego. Was there anybody else at the Super Bowl meeting?
Did you get Chalio?
No. Chalio was at the first one, right? Because you said that, I think.
He was there pretty much all the time. Because
Okay.
I remember him specifically. He pulled me aside.
Got it. At the Super Bowl meeting. Where's Chalio from?
Did you get that pronunciation? Chilio. It's Chirilo. Francis Hardiman is expert pronunciation in Spanish. But that's one of the Grajeda brothers right there.
Rana.
Oh, yeah. Is he a Grajeda?
Yeah.
Real quick, do you know these guys' real names?
No.
Okay, you don't know Chuco.
Rene is Castro.
Oh, I'm sorry. Duh. Chileo was a Grajeda. Do you know which one?
No, Chaleo.
Night Owl from 18. Do you know which one?
Ruben Castro, I think it is.
Dagwood?
No.
Black Dan? Barella?
Danny Barala. Yeah.
Cowboy Tyrion. Do you know his first name?
Randy.
Oh, that's right. Negro from Marta?
Sammy Villalba.
Sleepy from Marta?
Jesse, I don't know his last name.
Aragon. Actually, Jesse Aragon was a straight bum. He would never do anything, lived off his wife, and she supported his heroin habit. And his wife was Twistin' Jenny. That was Jenny Borgueño, the daughter of the founder, Güero Buff Flores.
One Eye Caesar? Road Boy?
No.
Okay. Okay, so you're at the next meeting on Super Bowl Sunday.
No, she went to one meeting.
Right, you went to another meeting a week later.
Nothing happened.
You were left out of the business.
Yeah. Then went to another one. That went on Super Bowl Sunday. Then I was told to leave. I was told to go to the store or something. I left. Went out. Actually, I went outside in the front yard. And then,
Who told you to leave?
Gibby. He told me, hey, why don't you go home, whatever. So I left. And then when I came back, they set me down right there in the middle of them. Everybody was sitting down like in the patio, at a patio. And they told me, hey, you know what, we're going to make you a carnal. Gibby said a lot of good things about you. You know, Palabra came down from the joint, you know. They've been knowing about you. This and I'm like, it's all news to me, you know, because this is like totally out of left field.
Gibby wasn't like, hey man, keep coming to these meetings,
No.
try to get you in, you know, just.
It wasn't really, no, it wasn't even like that. No.
Did you want it?
Doesn't his smile and his humor just comes off as so personable? It seems like a guy you could just chill with. Ralph just seems like a chill guy, a hustler, right? I don't get the arrogance or the assholeness coming off of him. He was just doing his thing, and all of a sudden, boom, he gets made. It's a shock to him, right? Because I had never heard of him before this. I'd never heard of Perico before this. I just heard he got made, and okay, he's made, right? I had some interaction with him when I was in Pelican Bay. He would write to me. He actually wanted to take over my crew. And me and Daryl Baca said, no, we're not having it. It wasn't a bad letter. It was just, hey, you have to trust me. I'm out here. I can organize. And we're going to get into some of that. He actually did encroach on my territory. We'll get into that later because it's a future video. But he just seems like an affable guy, right? Very personable. Somebody you can kick it with, have a beer with. Seems like a good dude.
Or had you even thought about it?
I know. I didn't even really care. You know, they didn't. No, I didn't. You know, no, I didn't. I can't say yes. I can't say no. You know, I just whatever.
Who was saying this? Who was
Uh,
taking the lead?
I think it was Chuco right here, and then Danny was sitting by him. Everybody was putting their own little input in, as you know, to say remember everything. I can't say that. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
I can't tell you what, quote anybody or everybody. I remember Chuco was right here. I'm pretty sure Smilon was there too.
Oh, okay.
Smilon is David Gallardo from Big Hazard. Oh, and he ended up getting whacked in the feds. He's still alive. He's on a dropout yard now, but he ended up getting the blues up there.
Was he? Smilon or Pee Wee? Because I think it was Smilon because somebody was bucking the system. But there was so many of them. They're like, chale, you know, they let it go. And I remember Topo's name came up. You know what I mean? That, you know what Topo said, that, you know, they've been knowing, so cool. You know what I mean? They're like, so anyways, after that, you know, we talked, like, what was said. I just remember there was a little dispute about nobody knew my age. Then when they found out, they were kind of like, what? You know, because I was in my early 20s and, I don't know, 20. Supposedly I was the youngest carnal made. You know, for some reason, Danny took a liking to me, Black Dan. And he's like, hey, man, yeah, so we're talking. You know, there's this little shit going on about them talking to art, you know, in their own little circle, their own little groups. But after when it's said and done, everybody gets up and embraces me. I was one at a time. I really, you know, I was never explained or told. I never in my life was explained or told any reglas until we caught our case and I seen them written down.
Is that a chaotic induction or what? But that's kind of the induction ceremony. There's no real, like, you burn a saint in your hand or you cut your hand and drip blood. Nah, they vote you in. They come and hug you. Some of them kiss you. Black Dan used to kiss the cheek a lot. I don't know. That was just kind of his thing, right? And he only did it to brothers he really cared for, right? But that's a ceremony. They shake your hand. They welcome you to the organization. They hug you. And that's it. You know? You're a carnal. Go forth and conquer. You know? And that's how they apparently set Perico on his way.
I didn't even know, you know, I never really tripped because it was never told to me. It wasn't something that was preached. Or the only thing that I ever really knew of was two carnales couldn't put their hands on each other, or they were both doing this without good reason. That was the only thing that I ever really understood or knew, heard back in the days. But as far as like the rules that you guys put down and shit, I was never explained that in detail.
At that day, during the ceremony, during the thing where they vote you in or whatever, is that all it is? It's just all these guys that were basically out in the street,
yeah,
are together at these meetings. You're sitting in the middle. They kind of tell you what they want to do.
I didn't sit in the middle. I was sitting,
in the
circle.
there, and they basically just say, "Hey, we want to make you."
No, they said we made you.
Okay, so there was no. That was just it. They just tell you you're one of us now, and everybody knows it, and that's that.
Yeah,
after they worked through all the disagreements.
Whatever they did, yeah.
Right.
And there was still a little bit of disagreement, you know what I mean? But, you know, they, like I said, everybody, like, found out in their own little groups. But I remember, like, Chalillo, he's like, hey, carnal, good. He started talking to me. There was other, Caesar, some carnales pulled me aside. Yeah, we heard a lot about you and this. And I'm thinking, what the fuck you here? Because, you know, I bucked the system on Gibi. He just got out. I'm running with him. So, you know, I do things taking him around. And so it's, like, confusing to me. But I'm like, hey, whatever. Cool. You know what I mean? This is the way life goes. You know, I was with me, being me with you, and I'm still going to be me without you, so to speak, you know. So, yeah, I know that's kind of like out there, you know, man, that's how it happened, you know. Real simple, real kind of, I guess, nonchalantly. So whatever they were talking about, whatever they're doing, I never really got into that. I found out later, though, that from what I heard from Topo was that Gibi had been telling him that I was out there hooking things up for him. I'm the one who got Savario right now and got it together. This was back in the, remember, late 89, 90s, whatever, right? Well, all the time that he was busted. So I guess all the time that he was busted, he was pumping my name. And me and him never really hung out like that. Or we got busted way back from when we broke into that liquor store. Until then, I never really seen him, you know. And so I didn't really know where this was coming from. But I'm like, cool, whatever. I'll run with it. So after that, I remember after that, they offered me a slam. Slam some good-ass fucking dope. You know, they had some good shit.
Right after you got married?
Yeah, right after I got married. And then we went up to San Diego. Went up to Roy Boy's house.
Isn't that probably, in your head, the biggest downfall of the organization is drug use? To celebrate a new induction, they inject heroin. Now, I never got that Perico was a big doping, right? He may have dabbled, but I know he was a businessman above all. And I think that's probably one of the biggest downfalls of the organization is drug use. Continued drug use and the dissension within the organization among its own members.
Me, Gibby, and Black Dan. They said they had an issue or something up there or the other, so we drove up there. We drove up there, and a dude that I had been pressuring already for shit. I had his car, a Regal. So we drove up there. Nothing. Drove up there, just got high, hung out, and that was it. You know, came back the next day or a day later.
What was the issue that needed to be handled?
We didn't really get into it. They said they had some issue with some dude. Went to I didn't get into particulars. Went to a car, a guy that sold cars or something, like where they fix them, mechanic shop. They talked to him, whatever. They introduced me to him. He had a Ferrari, a red one, but nothing, no particulars. We just talked, whatever.
Did anything happen?
No, nothing happened. We just stood around there. That was it. Stayed at Roy Boys. Well, nothing. Yeah, nothing really happened. So I got kind of tired. Like, man, you done? We done? No, yeah, let's go. You know, so boom, we boned out. Actually, I think we took up that night. We got there the morning after the meeting. We drove up to San Diego, and the next night, where we slept a little bit, whatever you could sleep on, and then we came back. That was it. So we get back, and boom, Amakarnad starts introducing me to people. So I tell him, all right. He's kind of telling me, all right, well, we're gonna get the vado together. So he's telling me things that that I've already been doing. You know, so it's really not. So the way I'm looking at it is like, so, you know, what I'm telling myself is like, so what you're saying is I got to split everything with you. That's what it came down to, you know. So I'm like, So I'm listening to him, and I'm like, all right. So, well, let's do this. But now I'm seeing that, you know what, shit got to start getting bigger then, you know, because I'm going to need more money. You're taking half of mine already. Well, you know, as a carnad, you get. So I'm like, fuck. So we already got Mike in pocket.
What was the split?
Just whatever we were taxing and going around and getting.
Right, and how much did you have to give?
The denomination, I couldn't tell you the number.
No, I'm not talking in the actual dollar amount. What was the percentage? You said you had to give half to the brothers?
No, well, he was Mike, you know, we're both from Norwalk, so if ever going on there, I figure me and him are going to split up.
Oh, I see.
So, you know, whatever. I had 2-3 houses slinging, taxing these guys and these guys now, you know, all becomes into one pot, and then we'll break it up from there. So if we're going over here to this house, getting 500, you get 250, I get 250. We go to this house, we get 1,000, you get 500, I get 500.
Did any of that money have to get kicked up?
No.
Or it's just because you guys are both from Norwalk and you're both made guys?
Yeah.
You guys had to split it equally. So if there's 2 more guys that were made out of Norwalk, you would have to split it 4 ways.
Well, you got to remember now, I'm barely coming into this, so I don't really understand the dynamics. That's what I think. That's what I'm interpreting that he's telling me. You know, because in the future, as I learn, I kind of cut him off. You know, you fend for you know, you're not going to get everything that I do. You know, I'm not working for you. You know. So, anyways, whatever we had going, that's what we did. We ended up hooking up. I had another homeboy. We were both slamming, so we're both strung out too. I had a homeboy, Scooby. He was running around with us. Well, he was kind of being like, because he was just smoke weed. And I personally liked him because he seemed to be a sharp dude. He was down, and he didn't use drugs. So I said, preach to him, don't use it. Don't do what I do. Do as I say, not as I do, type deal, right? So he was running around all the spots that we had. We're going around where we were slinging. We're going in there with guns. We used to do the good cop, bad cop, me and him. You know, I was a bad guy, he was a good guy. You know what I mean? I'd go in there aggressive, he'd come in and soothe everything. You know, he kind of had the gift of gab a little bit. So anyways, I wanted to start branching out into extortion, into hitting all the restaurants, flower shops, liquor stores, all that. So I sat down with DB. You know.
I love this part right here. He's going to talk about, this is a reflection of his progressive thinking. Going beyond just drug dealers and $250 and $500 little stings, right, for people selling dime bags. He wants to go to legit business here, and he's transitioning into that. And I really admired this when I heard it, because I had the same idea years ago. I told Black Dan about it and a couple other brothers. I said, look, these liquor stores and these businesses in the hood, have somebody go tag them up and break the windows, and then we come in and we soft touch it, right? Like, hey, man, we're from this hood, and we make sure none of the homeboys ever do this again. but we're the ones inflicting it, right? We're the ones perpetuating this, right? So they pay us to stop any damage to their business, right? And here's Ralph doing it, right? I thought it was a great idea when I came up with it, and I think it was a great idea when he implemented it.
And then I told him, look, let's start doing this. Let's start extorting all these stores because in the long run, all this fucking... Because I noticed he did have he had a good vocabulary. Real good. He was... didn't stutter a lot. Just, so I figured I could... he's good. That's his trait. You know what I mean? I'm not real good at that. That would be him. You know what I mean? So, I kind of grew up, and I remember I read in books, like, do what you do best. Don't try and do something you can't, because you're just going to fuck shit up. So I got that right away. He was smart. He was book smart. He had a decent vocabulary. He didn't stutter a lot. And
Are you talking about Gibby or
yeah,
Scooby?
Gibby.
Okay.
And
Do you know Scooby's real name?
Javier Chavez, I think it is.
Is he still alive?
Yeah.
So I think he's confusing Gibby with the other person, Scooby, that he's talking about here, because he damn sure ain't talking about Gibby Escobar, the weasel, right?
So, yeah, he was real articulate in his words, and he didn't seem intimidating, but his words were strong. So I figured that's where he balanced himself. So, anyways, I'm running him down like, look, let's start doing this. Let's start. We're gonna fucking vandalize the store first, fuck it up. This was my idea. Spray paint it, do whatever, even break the front glass. That front glass got to be like $1,000. So let's cause damage and then come back around. I said, that's where we'll send homeboys in there and say, hey, look, we know you're having problems with your business right here. I might have somebody that could talk to you. You take them, go sit them down in a restaurant and just tell them, hey, look, we're going to provide, you're in the barrio selling everything you sell is everybody in the barrio. Everybody's welfare check, everything comes here. That's where they can buy their eggs or everything. So, we know you're having beer runs and all this. We're going to cut that down. You're guaranteed that nothing's going to happen. Business will go on as usual. If you have any problems, call us. This is what I'm giving him that he got to, but put in better words, I said, and then tell him, we're going to charge him, we'll start out. I said, start out high. And then if it works out within a month, and then you bring it down to make it look like you're, So I'm trying to tell them, figuring out how to do the extortion. You know what I mean? This is how you do it, and keep them happy. I said you can't keep them mad, you can't make them. You got to make them at least half-ass pleased about handing you over the money, before so they could continue. Otherwise, they're gonna. So anyways, he's like, yeah, we're talking. We're brainstorming about it back and forth. And we got it down together, so that's how it's gonna happen. I said we're gonna use Scooby and a couple homeboys to go around and do this and that. I ended up getting busted before a lot of this could actually flip over and transpire. Actually, I started getting pedazos off Champ from OC. He was there.
Champ or Russell?
Yeah, Ronnie Mendez. That's him. He was there. He was going to the meetings.
Oh, Ronnie Mendez, Champ from where?
From Orange County.
Which side of Orange County?
I know there was different sides.
Well, there's a bunch of different gangs in Orange County.
Where's he from? I think,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's from F Troop.
Okay.
So anyways,
I'm sorry, what was his name?
Ronnie Mendez.
Ronnie Mendez. Thank
So I started scoring off him. So we were getting carga going. Because my barrio carga has always been strong. Pushing that, doing that. One night I'm out drinking.
One second, you were getting dope from him to sell in your neighborhood?
Yeah,
because he had a
my
good connection.
Yeah.
And you're taxing everybody.
And
Let
actually,
me ask you a question. Would you have thought of putting the plan in effect if you hadn't become a made guy?
what have I? Yeah.
So that was something you're already thinking of, but did being a Mexican Mafia dude at the time, working with another guy, did that
Kind of
give you that
handicapped.
leverage to go in and do all that stuff
No,
to some degree at all, or
it gave me a push now because before I was just doing this, or I'd get a homeboy or two, or convince them of let's do this or get that together. But most everybody was using drugs, so I got caught up in using drugs. I knew I needed somebody who didn't use drugs. That's how Scooby was, I guess, you could say, like my criminal blessing. he wasn't using drugs, and I emphasized don't use drugs, and if I ever catch you using drugs, I'm gonna cut you loose, you know. So whatever money I'd make, I'd pay him out of my pocket. So I try to keep him happy, you know. Thomas, you know, it's a job. It's just this is what we do. We can't go work in the docks or go. This is our job. So if I get $100, you get 22 of that 100 because it's your job. So you know, don't think because we're doing things that you're going to start getting millions and millions of dollars. It, you know, everything.
During those days, was the people in the neighborhood, were they like, you know, they know you're a Mexican mafia dude now? Was that something like that put you guys up at another level than all the other gangsters in the neighborhood are trying to do the same stuff? Is there more of a respect? Like
nobody
you
did
gotta
it.
go along with that guy's plan now.
Nobody tried to do it, you know. And up to that point, I was doing it, but being more like under the radar type deal. Now that I look back at look back at all that,
Right.
I was real discreet about how I do it.
Okay.
Like sometimes I'd just go in there like intimidation, like be strapped. Like, hey, all this stuff I heard you're slinging, boom, boom, boom. Let me get some of that. You know what I mean? I'd convince them to give it to me, you know, and they'd do it out of, you know, they wouldn't have a gun, I'd have one, you know. So it'd be like, you know, just in the course of however, you know, different conversations would go on. About that time too,
Let me ask you a quick question about the drug connection between you and Champ Mendez. You'd get the drugs from him. Would you and Scooby sell them at like a street level, or would you sell them in larger quantity to other people in your hood?
okay,
Have them
I'm
sell
gonna
it?
break that down right now.
Okay.
Because I started getting coke, so I started rocking shit. So I started learning how to rock shit. It was about that time too. I was going to Chivas, and that's where I started learning how to rock it. So we just started rocking like keys of coke, you know, and ounces, whatever we get. I learned how to rock it. So I started putting rock out there too. And
This is a part where he actually hooks up with my crew. There was a guy named Toker Alvarado, Jesus Alvarado. His wife's name was Cynthia. They used to run the hood for me. And this is when we wrested control away from China Boy. But he ended up hooking up with my crew here. I believe this is the same video.
different from everybody else because Gibi was going around taxing everybody. So once I became a carnal and I started getting people that actually had drugs, I even had this dude. It's in one of the tapes that we had. I had this dude Fonzie from Mexico. He was my connection. He could supply anything as much as what he wanted. So me and him were in secret. Just me and him were in our own little secret negotiations to start supplying LA. So in one of the meetings, I get the carnales together and I'm like, look, I got a connection that could supply us. Could you guys handle it? If you can't handle it, I'm not going to get it. You know what I mean? I'm talking about 50 keys at a time. I'm talking about pounds of heroin. I'm talking about truckloads, tons. And they're like, they're flindan, you know, everybody's in the slant, you know, it's too far ahead. And I personally see that this is kind of above them, you know, it's like this ain't what they're really about. You know, they just want to snap. So I started, you know, back then, you know, as soon as I became a carnal, I started realizing that it ain't all the fame and everything that people make it out to be, you know. Inside the beast, it's not that. You know, it's not what the stories and it's
coming
not.
from another carnal's mouth. This is not everything it's cracked up to be, folks. Everybody thinks it's this monolithic organization with this awesome power. It is not. You're dealing with a bunch of dudes that have substance abuse issues and personality disorders. And Perico saw that immediately. They couldn't handle this kind of weight. They're not ready for that kind of success.
At least that's the way I see it, you know. I know they got power and all this, but the mentality or the organization, the direction of intelligence and stuff wasn't there. You know, it was just a regular get high, whatever. Get me high and you could do whatever you want. I'm on your side, which I'll get into, which I started learning and I started using to my advantage. You know, if I could get them high, I could get a yes out of them. If I get them high, I get a no out of them. I could actually manipulate them with drugs, you know. So anyways, I'm in negotiations with this guy Fonzie to do the drugs and get the drugs going. He gives me some. He got good dope, you know what I mean? Better than what we had, what was out there. He uncut shit. He had good coke. I was trying to rock shit up. I'm in Chivas, so I hook up with a dude Toker from Chivas. Start pushing it right there. So what I did different now that I started having a connection, I went back and I robbed everybody again. You know, even though they were like, I just went in there strapped up like, hey, let me get all your shit. You know.
Anybody ever say no?
No. It's just like I ain't got nothing.
What was the guy from Chivas?
Toker.
Do you know his real name?
No.
He was encroaching on my territory. I didn't even know it till I saw this video. And bad on Toker for allowing it. This is probably after I dropped out, though. I'm assuming, right? Because I had Toker wrapped up. Him and Cynthia were pretty loyal to me, and they immediately went to Tecolote, Big Daryl Baca, after I abdicated my position, right? Once I dropped out, you abdicate. You leave the throne, right? Somebody is going to assume that territory, and that was going to be Tecolote, right, Daryl, and that Perico was doing it. It probably not known to Daryl either. There was a lot of turf encroachment going on when the Cardenales were on the street, and this had to be after I left the organization. I'm just thinking that now, because I would have known about it immediately.
So you used Toker from Chivas as like a distribution guy, and then
No, he was like a casual guy, laid in the cut guy. Negro introduced me to him. Negro from Artisha.
Okay.
That was like Negro's boy. And China Boy was there back then too. That's before he was a carnal. And they had been taking shit from him. And we even went in there and took something from him. So, when he became, I was kind of like...
Okay, just very, very briefly, because part of our purpose here is not to get bogged down in real detail, but you kind of start a story and then you stop. So I just want to go back. I don't need a tremendous amount of detail. What you said is essentially you're good at exploiting a dope connection from Champ Mendez. You'd get drugs in a decent quantity, like a kilo of cocaine. You'd rock that up, okay? And now... Negro from Arta introduced you to this guy Toker from Chivas. Who would you use to distribute the dope? And let me ask you a quick question. Would you distribute this dope out to people, them knowing that it came from you, and then go around and rob them? So they're buying the dope from you and you're robbing it back from them? Or would you have the dope sold to them, you'd get that money, and then you'd go rob it without them knowing that you sold it to them?
No, before all this happened, everybody was slinging for themselves. When I was doing my thing, before Gibby really came in the picture, and I was just robbing everybody and getting what I wanted. So if I ever wanted anything, you were slinging, and I was partying with broads or something, which usually the case, I'd come and say, hey, let me get a gram. You know what I mean? You try and tell me no. I'm going to walk out there with 80 grams and your money and whatever else, so I'd get it.
Okay.
So I never really pressed on anybody. I'd get what I wanted, and I was nobody. But then when I became a carnal, it was kind of confusing to everybody, but everybody knew me from back in the days growing up. I've always ran with connections. I've always happened to be with the right people. My family's big, so, there was a lot of other factors, I guess, that went into this.
Let's pause just one quick second. I want to just start another, we're going to stop. It's 14:57 hours.
And there you have it, folks. Another episode in the Perico Rocha saga. Hope you enjoyed the video. We're going to unpack some more soon. Stand by. It's coming. Peace out.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Boots.